It has been another busy week yet again, my friend. Popular YouTuber Karl Jobst lost a huge court case against Billy Mitchell and the internet is now turning on him. What happened? President Donald Trump announced last night that he's instating a buttload of tariffs to the entire freaking world. I'll let you know what that means for you and specifically your wallets. Nintendo just dropped the biggest Nintendo Direct of all time. I'll give you guys a quick TLDR of everything that was announced and give you my opinions on it, including the later released astronomical prices and how the internet went from extreme glee to absolute despair and anger. I will be covering some other topics that you guys asked me to talk about as well. So a quick follow-up and update from the last video. You guys asked me to watch a video called Gunnar Namakam. It's about some dude named Grummz, aka Mark Kern, and oh my god, it was one of the wildest 1 hour roller coasters I have ever seen on YouTube. TLDR, there's this guy who's like around 60 by the name of Mark Kern, better known as Grummz, who is one of the most controversial figures in gaming right now, specifically on Twitter, and has been shaping internet drama for years. Grummz basically built his career at Blizzard Entertainment. He worked on StarCraft, Diablo 2, and World of Warcraft, but since he left Blizzard, he's become known mainly for fueling outrage online. He emerged as a key figure during Gamergate, he launched petitions for classic WoW, and he spends most of his days tweeting furiously about the wokeness in gaming. But unfortunately, it looks like Grummz left a very huge internet trail that MLYP, his biggest hater, okay, he makes Kendrick Lamar look like Elmo from Sesame Street. That's how much he hates this man. I literally cannot list everything, but here are some of the 5 biggest points that he brought up about Grummz. Number 1, the P sites and the hidden identities. For nearly 2 decades, Grummz secretly operated multiple fetish websites focused on violent catfights, hentai, and explicit adult content under the alias of Debbie Chan. He recently scrambled to delete every trace of this persona once he realized it started to come to light. Second allegation from MLYP's videos talks about scamming gamers and fans. Essentially, after leaving Blizzard, Grummz founded several gaming startups, repeatedly raising hundreds of thousands of dollars for games he never delivered. His projects like Firefall, Ember, and Oculus Rift MMO collectively took over $1.6 million in funding without producing any successful games. Fans who supported his latest project, Ember, complain of years with no meaningful updates. Number 3, this was one of the nail in the coffins, there were serious allegations of financial misconduct. Public California state records show that Grummz owes more than $250,000 in unpaid taxes. According to MLYP, he's used his elderly mother as a registered CEO for several LLCs, likely as a part of a tax evasion strategy, which kind of helps him shield income by reporting business losses. The 4th allegation being his questionable spending and his failed leadership. While he was the CEO at Studio Red 5, apparently he wasted millions of dollars, including blowing $3 million on a custom Firefall promotional bus built by West Coast Customs, and then spending roughly $150,000 on unnecessary high-end film cameras, which he then kind of used to fund his side hobby. And last but definitely not least, and this is probably the most disturbing part of the video for me, but MLYP basically claimed that Grummz had an email address when he was in his 30s or 40s, and the email address was prettylittlegirl16@gmail.com. Yeah. So yeah, it was really bad. If you guys want to see my deep dive, it's on the second channel, Omni After Dark. I'll put a link in the description below, or you can go watch the original one from MLYP. I think it's only part 1 and he plans on dropping more, which means he has more ammo. What in the hell? Since then, Grummz has been on Twitter. I think he kind of made it so that only verified users can reply to him. He hasn't said whether or not this stuff is true or false. So yeah, I don't know what's going to come of it. I'll let you guys know if there's any ridiculous big updates or details, but yeah, this story was one of the wildest roller coaster rides I've ever been through. So guys, up next, let's talk about Karl Jobst. Okay, this YouTuber essentially had a lawsuit held up against him for the past 2 to 3 years, and he lost to a guy by the name of Billy Mitchell. And not only did he lose the lawsuit, but he's also losing a lot of fans and favor, because as the results came out about this lawsuit in this case, people feel like they were deceived about what the details of the lawsuit actually were. In case you guys don't know, this is Karl Jobst. He's an Australian YouTuber and speedrunner whose work has primarily focused on exposing cheating and fraud in the gaming community. If you're a fan of this channel, you might have heard of him when we were talking about Dream, that whole scandal about him cheating with the Minecraft speedrun. This guy basically goes out and finds people and exposes them for just cheating in video games, specifically when it comes to speedruns. And it came to this guy named Billy Mitchell. The TLDR is that Karl Jobst essentially insinuated that Billy Mitchell cheated when it came to a Donkey Kong speedrun, okay? That said that he was cheating, and then that was basically all these videos pointing to the fact that he was a cheater. However, during this entire fiasco, apparently there was another person in this situation by the name of Apollo Legend, who unfortunately took his life, and Karl Jobst felt like that Billy Mitchell may have played a part when it came to that happening. There was one specific point that Karl Jobst alleged that Billy Mitchell was responsible for Apollo Legend's death. This whole thing led to a lawsuit from Billy Mitchell suing Karl Jobst for defamation for what the entirety of YouTube people had been saying felt was on the basis of him cheating in a game, but in actuality, the lawsuit was about the defamation of claiming that he was responsible for the death of Apollo Legend. Karl Jobst tweeting, "I lost. The judge found Billy to be a credible witness and believed his entire testimony. From that point on, unfortunately, there was really nothing that could have saved me. I will now obviously consider my options. I know many of you will be upset with this, and I'm sorry for that. Thank you again for the support I have received, and I will endeavor to work as hard as I can to repay all that you are owed." So what's important to understand is that while he was getting sued, Karl Jobst crowdfunded the legal fees from his audience. There was a GoFundMe, I believe, or there was a Patreon where people can come in and donate to kind of help, because the cost when it comes to these lawsuits were in the 100,000 pluses, almost reaching to 1 million now after the settlement from the judge. As I said before, a lot of people from the internet, including his audience, feel misled because they thought that they were funding a lawsuit that had to do with Billy Mitchell being a cheater, not that there was a defamation lawsuit when it had to do with him falsely accusing him of being responsible for Apollo Legend's death. Karl then made a separate video that was made on his YouTube video that he later took down for sponsored purposes, and then he made this tweet saying, "There are a lot of lies being spread that I falsely claimed Billy sued me because I said he cheated. I never claimed this. I only claimed it was relevant as part of my defense. Didn't openly discuss certain details for obvious reasons, but I was never trying to hide why I was being sued." In this video, I fully allow Billy to explain why he was suing me, and I specifically state that I chose not to go into too much detail because it related to the ongoing lawsuit. Furthermore, I never asked for money when Billy originally sued me. It was only after he sent me a second lawsuit and a threat of a third lawsuit, which were completely unrelated, that I needed to crowdfund. My total legal costs are well over $600,000, so any money I received went to my lawyers. I did not intentionally try to deceive anyone or trick anyone just to defraud them or scam them out of money. The criticism that I should have been more transparent is valid, and I'm sorry. Truthfully, I didn't want to repeat or mention any claims regarding Apollo Legend because it may have jeopardized my defense. I never intentionally lied regarding Apollo Legend either. I relied on incorrect information from multiple sources. I retracted the statements once I confirmed it was inaccurate, but apparently it was not sufficient. At some point, of course, I will produce a video discussing everything, and I still believe the decision today was not the correct one. However, until he makes this video, this comment seems to be echoing a lot of the sentiments that I've been seeing on the internet recently. This person saying here, "This is so bad. Karl Jobst probably took the largest L on YouTube in a while and is owning it. He's not being too straightforward about the situation though. This is such an awful display, obfuscating the situation, misleading his audience, all that bravado in his videos too." So that's the Karl Jobst situation in a nutshell. People like me are waiting to see what his video is going to be, how he's going to explain himself. Some people still feel like the money that they gave for the crowdfund was under the basis that Billy Mitchell was a cheater and not the defamation, the false accusation that he was responsible for Apollo Legend's death. When that video comes out, I'll give you an update on what he says. I'll give you guys my opinion and let you guys know what the public opinion is as well. But until then, yeah, this is just, this sucks. This sucks for everyone involved, except for Billy Mitchell. I think he came out with a W. Again, I did record this live on Omni After Dark on Twitch. I have it on my second channel, link in the description below if you guys want to see the full deep dive, like all the details what I discovered, because there's more that I didn't say here that you guys might be interested in knowing if you got some time to burn. So Alvin said everyone's mixed reactions, especially when it comes to Nintendo Switch's game prices. Oh my God. And it shows a picture of this tweet here, 150,000 likes with a guy saying, "Please don't say damn when you hear the price." Man, oh man, the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct was yesterday and it was absolutely glorious, magnificent. We learned about the Nintendo Switch and all of its capabilities, how it's powerful. It can run at 4K, it can run at 120 frames per second. They're making remakes of some of your favorite games. Like it's incredible. Everyone was happy. All of these new games getting announced, including, yes, Hollow Knight Silksong. Okay, I'll just throw in my reaction really quick. Okay, be careful about your audio, by the way. But yes, the Silksong is here and everyone walked out of that bad boy feeling good. Okay, we were like, Nintendo fans, we E and W as always. That was until later people went to Twitter and they found the actual cost of the games and the system itself, and people were not too happy. Here, as you guys can see, the Nintendo Switch 2 Mario Kart World Bundle is set at $500. Okay, that means basically $450 if you want the Nintendo Switch system, but an additional $50 if you want Mario Kart World. Mario Kart World being an open platform Mario Kart with the most amount of characters we've ever seen. You can literally drive with the cow from Moo Moo Meadows, bro. You can drive as the bony fish. Fish don't even have any hands or feet, and man's is driving cars. You can drive with everyone. It looks absolutely sick. You can wall bounce from left and right. It looks good. And then you can just not drive. You can just go out and hang out with friends and drive around the courses, drive everywhere, and just hang out. You don't have to stay on the tracks. You can just literally take pictures with your friends like it's an adventure. But as you guys can see right here on the bottom left, this game is coming out to be $80 freaking hard copy. I believe the digital one is $70, but people who want to buy things, oh my god, you got the new Kirby game that has additional like levels at $80. If you want to play Street Fighter 6, that was something that was announced as well, $60. $70 for the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild Nintendo Switch 2, the US version. You got $70 for Donkey Kong Bonanza, the new Donkey Kong open world game that looks absolutely brilliant. $80 for Super Mario Party Jamboree. People are like, what in the hell are these prices? For those of you guys who don't buy video games or into the gaming space, okay, most people right now are used to the $59.99 price tag. That seems to have been like the highest average. Occasionally you might see a sneak of a $69.99, but usually you only get the $60 price tag, and people have been worried ever since Grand Theft Auto 6 announced that it could be potentially like $90, $100 for this game. And people are like, are we about to see a price creep when it comes to video games? When it comes to these video games, is inflation truly hitting? And it has caused absolute mayhem on the internet, and a lot of people feeling like Nintendo is being greedy. For reference, I thought this was interesting. Pepperidge Farm remembers these prices, okay? But the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, people are joking about how like this was the price of Super Nintendo games back in the day. You had Killer Instinct for almost $90. Legend of Gaia was $95. Donkey Kong Country was $80. Earthbound, I remember Earthbound. Pepperidge Farm remembers Earthbound, bro. Earthbound was this big old box. $90 for Super Nintendo Earthbound. Oh my freaking god. I remember seeing that thing floating around. So they're kind of comparing it and say, hey guys, we've seen prices like this before. People are saying that the price of these games, it was kind of cooked in because of like the casing, but some people are saying like, no, the hardware wasn't that expensive for the pricing of the games. It was just a different time, different era. Some people are wondering, yo, what's going on? What's going on, Nintendo? Why is the price going up so much? And does it have anything to do with all of these tariffs that Trump has been tossing around the United States to the rest of the world, which we'll cover after this segment. I'll let you guys know what Trump said about the tariffs, and again, how this is going to impact you, because surprise, surprise, it will. This tweet from Shinobi said, just announced the US will tariff products from Vietnam at a 46% rate. Could heavily impact Switch 2 pricing, possibly globing. Nintendo shifted Switch 2 production from China to Vietnam and Cambodia to avoid tariffs, okay? Others include 34% tariffs on China, 49% on Cambodia, 24% on Japan, 20% on the EU, and more. So the price that you guys see right now, people were wondering, wait, is that what it is without the tariffs or with the tariffs? Are you telling me there's a possibility that we're going to have to pay even more money in order to than for what we're seeing right now? So this is the one that I've been doing research on since yesterday, okay? This is the one that I was most curious about, is the price of the Nintendo Switch 2. Is it based on the fact that they knew that the tariffs were coming, so they kind of just baked it in there? Or is this pre-tariff and it's going to go up further in the future? I don't think it will go up, but from what I'm seeing a lot of conflicting information where some people are saying it will, and some people saying that that price is already baked in, taking into consideration that the tariffs that are currently happening. And until I can find actual factual information, which we might have to wait for maybe a person from Nintendo representative to basically talk about it, like someone has to speak about it and say why they priced it that way, potentially, I'm guessing that it may be a combination of both, okay? The price of the Nintendo Switch obviously was going to go up with inflation. It was definitely going to go up. It's not not going to go up. But the question is, did it go up by that much because they were expecting these tariffs that are happening here in Vietnam? It seems like they were trying to save money by switching their production to another country, but now with the added tariffs, it looks like they might not be able to save as much as they thought. The other thing to take into consideration is these tariffs are imported goods, okay? Not digital, all right? And a lot of the digital products that Nintendo Switch 2 is selling is priced at the $70, $80 range. So even if you want to think about the tariffs being cooked and baked in there, you already know that Nintendo was still going to be bringing these prices up. Essentially, a lot of people are surprised, okay? We kind of knew this price creep was happening, but a lot of people didn't expect it to come from Nintendo. Maybe from Sony, maybe from Grand Theft Auto, maybe from Xbox, we start seeing some of these prices, but not from Nintendo and not at this alarming rate. Combined with the fact that this system is coming out in June, like in 2 months, a lot of people were like, bro, I was not ready for this. My pockets, I didn't save for this, Nintendo. I buy everything that you ever tell me to buy, Nintendo. If you sold a game, if you sold a rock to me, I would buy it. But I don't have all of the funds now. People are hurting, bro. People are saying that we're headed towards a recession, that we're already in, potentially a depression with all of these tariffs. And now you're telling me that the Nintendo Switch 2 is costing me $500+, bro? What do you mean? This article from The Verge talked a little bit more about it in detail, saying when the Switch 2 launches on June 5th, it will cost $449 retail. Applying some back of the napkin math, if we treat the new tariffs that were announced last night as averaging out around 40%, that equates to an extra $180, leaving a possible final price of $630. Apply the same logic to games, with Mario Kart World already set to cost $80 and you get a final price over $110. Use the worst case rate, Cambodia's 49% tariff, and the numbers jump to $670 and $120 separately. You're paying almost $1,000 for a system and a game. Oh my god. It says the actual prices should be lower than that. Tariffs are generally calculated based on products declared value at import, not its final retail price. We don't know the Switch 2's declared value for certain, but the Financial Times reports that shipments from Vietnam listed it at $338. And again, if we apply the 40% to that and then add back in the $112 difference between it and the current retail price, we get a very slightly better final price of $585. That still doesn't feel like a bargain though. Shout outs to the Xbox One reveal, the $599, Ridge Racer. It's Ridge Racer. If you know, you know. So all of this leads to a lot of speculation with things not being final. If you guys don't know, when it comes to Trump and these tariffs and this trade war he's been creating with the entirety of the world, at first it was just Canada and Mexico and some other country as well. Now this is everybody, okay? But if you don't know, he has made a lot of tariffs that then he just took back, and he said, actually, we're going to delay it for 30 days. Actually, we're going to delay it for 30 days. And then, went forward with it anyway, specifically in China. So there's a chance that what he announced yesterday can just not exist in a month. Like, I know that sounds wild, but it could be a thing where it just is not a thing in the future. And I'll let you guys know if anything changes with that. But right now, if you are saving up for the Switch 2, homie, you best believe you better, you gotta get into those pockets. You gotta dig. You're gonna burn. A lot of people are not happy. Consumers are not happy. Is Nintendo being greedy and anti-consumer? Usually when it comes to prices, when it comes to Nintendo, usually not. They're usually good when it comes to prices. It's usually Sony and Xbox and other places that are overpriced. So seeing this from Nintendo, that means that's going to be a green flag for the rest of the industry. Is going to be like, oh, Nintendo is selling games for $80, $70. Oh, it's time. Grand Theft Auto is going to cost you $5,000. Grand Theft Auto is going to be so expensive that you're going to have to go steal it from your homie. You're going to have to commit Grand Theft Auto on somebody who's already bought Grand Theft Auto. It's going to be like the only game that the only way that you can play it is that you got to go steal it from somebody else. Anyway, prices aside, when it came to the actual Nintendo Switch 2 and the games, okay, for those of you guys who are at home, like, okay, look, Omni, I'm not a brokey, all right? I don't really care about the price. I'm just going to buy all these games because, I can afford it. And you're just tell me what games are coming out so I can just go buy it. That's not a me problem. It's a y'all problem. Okay, but if you guys want to just know what came out and my thoughts on it really quickly, I'll give you a quick TLDR of all of the game announcements that came out. For first party titles, we'll start with Mario Kart World. That's launching on June 5th, 2025, along with the system when it comes out. I'm pretty excited to play this game. It seems like it has a lot of crazy features, including the fact that you can actually put your face on the actual game and chat with people. I do not think that's going to be well. We're going to have COD lobbies in the Mario Kart game. I don't know how they're going to police this. There's another game called Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour, which kind of like is like shades of like Astrobot, where it kind of like teaches you the system in itself. And yeah, I don't think anyone's going to buy this. It's not even free. There's Donkey Kong Bonanza, and oh my god, this one comes out July 17th and it looks absolutely brilliant. Nintendo redesigned Donkey Kong. He looks so freaking good. Open world Donkey Kong game for the first time. It's just an absolute yes must play when it comes to the Nintendo Switch 2. The Super Mario Party Jamboree, the Nintendo Switch 2 edition, that's coming out July 24th, 2025. It also looks very good as well. Super Mario Party is a very huge staple when it comes to any Nintendo Switch game, okay? And if you want to get pissed off at people again online, well, see it in their faces, apparently you can do so. There's Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. That's going to be coming out winter 2025. It's essentially like Dynasty Warriors. It's like the third installment, and people are excited to play this because you get to play as Zelda. I think you might have got to play as Zelda from other games, but I can't remember. And last but definitely not least, but also last in the entire announcement, was Kirby Air Riders. Okay, this is a game I have not played, but a lot of people were excited for, where you basically, you know, ride in the air. It's Mario Kart, but like in the air and with Kirby, and it's being made by Masahiro Sakurai. A lot of people been like, ooh, oh man, if Sakurai is working on this game, does that mean we're not getting Super Smash Brothers from quite some time? We'll see. Then there's the enhanced editions. Okay, there's The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Nintendo Switch 2, and The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Both of those are coming out June 5th. If you guys want to play both of those games and the new enhanced 4K and 120 frames per second, just much better and pretty, you can do that. There's Pokemon Legends ZA. There's a Nintendo Switch 2 edition of that. Kirby and the Forgotten Land, Nintendo Switch 2 edition of that. And you also have Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, Nintendo Switch 2 edition. We don't have a release date yet for that, but it looks like it may be coming out later this year. As for the third party titles, oh my god, buckle in. There's a lot, but I'm gonna list them all for you really quickly, just really quickly. We got Elden Ring, okay? Elden Ring coming out for this Nintendo Switch 2, which is absolutely what? What in the world? There's Cyberpunk 2077, the Ultimate Edition. We got Hades 2. I cannot wait for Hades 2 because Hades 1, I think I put like 1,000 plus hours in. Street Fighter 6 will be launching June 5th, 2025, in case you guys want to sweat hard on the Nintendo Switch 2 system. There's Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 coming out summer of 2025. Hitman, World of Assassination, also coming out in June. There's Yakuza, Zero's Director's Cut, Borderlands 4, Split Fiction, Rune Factory, Guardians of Azuma, Survival Kids, Deltarune chapters 1 through 4. Guys, I'm super excited for Deltarune. I feel like I need to go back and play chapters 1 through 2, but essentially it's a launch title, which means if you get the Switch 2 when this is announced, you get to play the last remaining chapters 3 and 4. If you guys don't know, this is done by Toby Fox, the guy that created Undertale. There's a Bravely Default HD remaster. There's Hogwarts Legacy also being released out on here as well. There's Kunitsugami, there's Puyo Puyo Tetris, there's Nobunaga's Ambition, Fast Fusion, Fortnite, Arcade Archives 2 Ridge Racer. There's also some GameCube classics available like The Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker, F-Zero GX, and Soul Calibur 2. There's Dust Bloods, a game that kind of looks like Bloodborne 2 from Software that a lot of people are excited for. There's Project 007. Okay, people are excited to see that we might be getting a Golden Eye for the Nintendo Switch 2, which is a very huge staple if you're back from the Nintendo 64 days. Enter the Gungeon 2 was also announced. There's Star Seeker, Star Wars Outlaws, Reanimal, a couple of sports games that nobody cares about. Last but definitely not least, guys, Silksong Hollow Knight. That's right. When I was streaming it yesterday on twitch.tv/Inferno Omni, you should come and join me, by the way. It was a blast. I actually put my channel at risk. I said, guys, I have a feeling this is it. This is my final hurrah. The clown suit was on, and I said, I bet my entire channel, I bet my life, that Hollow Knight is getting announced. I felt it in my bones. And I never said this before. Other times I was like, please. But this one I said, you know what? I'm putting it all in, cards in. It is happening, and it did. Okay? So you are welcome. We no longer have to wait for Silksong. I mean, we got to wait. We didn't get an announcement date, but we know that it's happening in 2025 this year. When that game comes out, man, oh freaking man, we will be replaying Hollow Knight, the first one, I just really excited for it. If you guys be like, Omni, what is this infatuation with Silksong? Like, this game came out like 4 or 5 years ago, okay? And it was one of my favorite games. It was so good. It felt so great. So I'm so sad I had to wait for so long. I think Team Cherry is only like a group of like 3 people working on it. So it makes sense why it's taking a long time. It's a passion project. They want to get this right. But I really, really want to get lost in the Silksong sauce. And I hope you guys join me when that does happen, okay? But yeah, I think I want to stream Hollow Knight again. That would be really fun. But yeah, guys, it's the Nintendo Switch 2. All right, that's all the drama about the prices. That's all the games that come out. That's the full summary. Let me know how you guys feel about all of this. Okay, are the prices too high? Are they too damn high? Are you buying a Switch 2? Are you rebelling? Are you just not buying any games? Are you broke? Like, are you hurting right now? You're like, well, I guess we're going to have to wait a couple years for that price mark down. Like, I'm kind of worried that the price might be higher than what we're seeing right now. I'm really worried for my guy. People didn't feel like these tariffs would affect them. And I kept saying, guys, be careful. These tariffs, we'll jump into the tariffs next. We'll end the video talking about the tariffs that Trump announced and what that means for you as well outside of the gaming industry. But I'm telling you, hey man, we got to pay attention to politics because politics is definitely paying attention to you. Because you guys didn't know, last night, President Donald Trump basically announced a series of significant tariffs that were aimed at addressing trade imbalances and promoting domestic manufacturing. This initiative was dubbed quote unquote Liberation Day, end quote, which includes a universal 10% tariff on all imports with higher reciprocal tariffs targeting specific countries based on their trade practices. So stick with me. Some of this might seem complicated, but I'll explain it to you like you're 5. First, there's this thing called the universal tariff, okay? There's basically a baseline 10% tariff that will be imposed on all imported goods entering the United States and is going to be effective April 5th, 2025. That's in 2 days. 10% across the board, the entire world, you're getting cooked. Then there's country-specific tariffs, okay? Additional tariffs basically were set for approximately 60 different countries with rates varying based on perceived trade imbalances and barriers. Trump believes that there are some imbalances when it comes to the trade relationships between some countries, so instead of just having a 10% baseline on everyone, he's adding even more for the people who feel like it's more unfair for their trade war. Some of the biggest ones being China, which has an additional 34% tariff, totaling an effective 54% when combined with previous tariffs. Chat, 54% tariffs on China? That's huge. That is huge. That is monstrous. That is monstrous. We get so many goods from China. So many goods. So to put 54% tariffs on that, oh my lord. There's an additional 20% tariff when it comes to the European Union. There is 46% tariffs on Vietnam, 49% tariffs on Cambodia, 24% tariffs on Japan, 31% tariffs on Switzerland, and 30% tariffs on South Africa. Like I said, there's like 50 other countries as well that received additional tariffs, okay, that we can't go into, but those are the big chunky wungies. President Trump basically framed these tariffs as a corrective measure against decades of unfair trade practices that have disadvantaged American workers and industries. He said, quote unquote, we're really not taking it anymore, emphasizing the need to reclaim economic sovereignty and bolster domestic manufacturing. The LDR, he wants to rely less on the other countries and he wants to rely only on just being in the United States, isolated, and we can just basically create everything we need within the United States. However, the market responded immediately. S&P 500 futures dropped 3%, okay? That is a lot of money. We're talking about trillions of dollars in one day being wiped off the market. The US dollar has weakened significantly, and a lot of investors have basically been trying to take refuge in gold, with gold being at its all-time high since, all time, forever. And as far as how the rest of the world is responding, they're not happy. No one's happy. Everyone is pissed off at the United States right now. No one's been like, hey, good job. No, everyone is pissed off. There's the European Union. The European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen criticized the move as a major blow to the global economy, warning of dire consequences for millions worldwide. When you have China, the Chinese government condemned the tariffs and indicated plans for countermeasures, signaling potential escalation into a broader trade conflict. They're not happy. And then you got the UK. The UK government expressed dismay over the 10% tariffs on its exports, acknowledging potential adverse effects on its economy and ongoing trade negotiations. A lot of economists have been saying that this is going to lead to higher prices and everything, that the inflation is going to go up, and this will lead to a recession. Some people believe we're already into a recession, and this might actually create a depression. I think the last time we had a depression, it had to do with also tariffs as well. So people were like, oh my God, we may be going downhill, and very fast. So those are the Trump tariffs in a nutshell. Again, like I said before, if this is any inclination of how the tariffs have been implemented in the past, usually he dials it back and he goes backwards, but he may not. It seems like he continues to go forward. Even if he delays it another 30 days, he goes forward. He is just all in on these terrorists and tariffing the entire world, and we are becoming public enemy number one. That we were already kind of unpopular. A lot of people hated the United States, but Trump is solidifying that. I cannot think of another country right now, maybe outside of Israel, who is happy with what we're doing. All right, guys, that's today's video. If you watched to the end, do me a favor, just drop that like. It's an attendance record. Lets me know you made it to the end. Subscribe if you guys haven't already. I'll catch you guys later. I love y'all. Brush your teeth. Don't get halitosis. And stay safe out on these tariff streets, because these tariff streets are trying to come for your wallet. Save. Be careful how you splurge money this year. If you don't got it, homie, start creating a budget. Start getting ahead of it, because again, this is just the beginning. And it's only been a couple, like 100 days, if not, of Trump being in office. Be careful, homie. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just telling you to be vigilant and be, proactive, not reactive. I love y'all. Y'all take it easy. Peace.